This is WPTV, William Patterson Television.
Welcome back to WPTV Presents, the show that features communication department club activities, leaders, and members. I'm your host, Brooke Holzhauer, and today we feature the Pioneer Players and the Comedy Club. With us today are Pioneer Players President, Barba, and Vice President of the Comedy Club, Gavin McKeon. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start off with you, Elle. Can you just introduce me and everybody watching to the Pioneer Players and give us like a backstory?
Of course. So Pioneer Players is the campus's premier theater and improvisation group, and we're a group of students who collectively appreciate theater and its many forms through general meetings that include improv and general acting, workshops, and trips. And we also produce shows throughout the semesters.
That's awesome. That sounds very like intense, but also very creative and artistic. I like that a lot. And how about you, Gavin? Can you give us a background or an introduction to Comedy Club?
Yeah, so the Comedy Club is the campus's club where students go to learn how to produce comedy on more of a level than telling a simple knock-knock joke, and learn how to build comedy sets and just kind of get a deeper and greater understanding of comedy as a medium and how it can be taken to a professional level. This mostly learned through general meetings and then also picking up and getting able to do kind of greater things, like greater events with your skills.
That sounds great. You guys seem very experienced as well. This is definitely not your first rodeo, so I want to know your guys' backgrounds on theater, with theater and comedy. So Elle, I'll start with you. What is your background like? How many years of experience do you have? Things of that nature.
In terms of doing shows and just being involved with theater in general, I was one of those kids that would do little shows in my mom's basement and I would perform for my grandparents and my dog. In terms of actually doing shows, I would say I was around 7th grade when I started performing in productions, both in my local high school and my high school did let the middle schoolers do shows, so I jumped on board as soon as I could with those. I've done some local productions and things like that. And then in terms of getting interested on campus, I'd always had an interest. I'd gone to club fair, I had seen all the communications department clubs, and I saw that we had a theater and comedy club, and I jumped on board as soon as I could.
That's great. I feel like your experience with theater and comedy is kind of similar to mine with video production. So I could definitely relate with you on that. And how about you, Gavin? What's your experience like?
I kind of joined at the drop of a hat, where pretty much just one random night, I took off work that day, so I was free to go to the clubs, and Elle made me go to Pioneer Players for my first time, and I really enjoyed it, so I kept showing up. And with Comedy Club, I just, everyone in Players, a lot of the people in Players also are in Comedy Club, so I was like, right. Yeah, I might as well give this a shot too. And I've been joining, and I enjoy it when I can make the clubs, which is now pretty often that I've built my schedules around it. I get to enjoy it and hone skills from both sides.
Very nice. And Elle, I want to move on to this question about how Pioneer Players has grown since COVID, because clearly you guys probably have more members now than you did around that time, more meetings, more activities that you guys do. So how do you plan to deal with challenges moving forward because of the whole, turmoil with COVID?
I joined Pioneer Players first and foremost when the university came back from COVID.
Okay.
So I was part of the group that had just kind of tried to move from digital back to in-person.
Right.
And watching all of that group sort of graduate and leave and move on, it was a hard transition. And I agree with you. It's been a challenge to have people come in, but how do I put this? I'm really proud of the people we have in Players. I've seen more people join through just regular departmental events, through the club council, everyone just kind of pulling in and like doing events and reaching out, having PR, do more posts on the Instagram, having more plays and productions going on, slowly gaining interest through not just the theater and acting portion of it, rather gaining interest for people who like writing, who like doing backstage work, who like being behind the scenes almost. So getting this eclectic group of people not just interested in acting, but in all the aspects of theater.
Nice. That's really awesome to hear. And how Pioneer Players is not just like, of course it's about comedy and it's about performance and everything, but like you just said, like writers and social media people are also involved, which is very cool. And it gives people the opportunity to not only focus on that in TV or, a journalism program, but for comedy as well. So that's really, really awesome. And Gavin, this is a very random question for you, but can you tell us about the funniest moment from this academic year from Comedy Club?
The funniest moment, that's hard because there's a lot of funny moments.
Of course.
Make for a great YouTube video, actually, Comedy Club funniest moments that you can watch instead of doing homework.
There you go.
I think some of the funniest moments, though, that's really hard because, like, there's, everyone gets their, like, comedy set, and as they slowly hone it, like, it becomes funnier and funnier, and it really hits hard. So it's hard to pick out, like, one specific time. I don't think I could think of one specific time, but there are some people who are in the club a lot that when they show up and they're walking up, I'm like, okay, this is good, because I get to hear stories that blow my mind about how grilling and candy and running randomly in New York City can relate to these wild and hilarious stories.
Well, that's funny to hear. And for you, Gavin, I'll go back to you. Do you intend to continue in theater and comedy for a career? Is it just a hobby for you? Tell me about that.
I'm not sure myself, as I'm still trying to figure out what exactly I want to do, which as a junior is terrifying, but I'm not going to think about that for too long. But I definitely have spent a lot of time in theater and comedy, and I have some nice connections from outside of the campus. So I don't think it would be my exact intention, but I would not shy away from it, and I'm always excited to see what the world has for me.
Of course. Well, that sounds great, and I wish you luck with your journey and the rest of your college life. And for you, Elle, what about you? Are you going to continue in theater and comedy or stray away from it?
I don't foresee myself ever giving up theater and comedy. I love writing. I love acting. I think my dream has always been to run a prop and playhouse. So I want to be able to create an environment where people have access to voice their own plays and art. A mentor that really got me to go to university for theater and comedy in the first place shared with me this idea that theater is art and all art is political and you are your own campaign manager. So I think allowing people the platform and giving them spaces and opportunities to show their works, show details about themselves through that medium is really, really important. And I can't ever imagine giving up on that dream.
Right, exactly. And I definitely agree with that. And I see it from an outside point of view. So from an outsider looking in, I can tell that the both of you are very determined and, that you just want the best for everybody in the clubs that you guys are involved in. So, and back to you, Elle, what are your plans for the next academic year for Pioneer Players? Any trips that you guys want to go on? Any special events?
Yeah, there's always a lot. Fall semester especially is very hectic for our club. Every single year we have in the fall a murder mystery written, produced, and acted by students. It's all done through students. Of course the department helps. We get funds from the SGA. But for the most part, we're the ones that are running the tech boards, that are running the cameras, that are teching and crewing, that are acting and writing. All of it's done by students.
Oh, wow.
There's also our annual trip to Broadway. So every single year we offer a $15 Broadway trip to about 50 students. That way they can experience the magic of theater for a reduced price. I think it's really important to make that an available resource for students.
Definitely. And
we also have, for the first time ever, we're going to have a musical in the fall as well.
Oh, very cool.
So we're doing a lot back to back then. In the spring semesters, we traditionally do SETA, so Students in the Arts, so some kind of showcase at the end of the semester.
Okay.
And we also host an array of workshops. This semester we had an acting workshop, had a script workshop lined up. So it's just in the spring, it's more of a time for building and focusing on different areas that the students in the club would like to look at.
Right. Well, that sounds very, very cool and very fun to be involved in. Gavin, I want to ask you this. What do you do at the meetings for Comedy Club? How often are they? And what can new members expect from those meetings?
That's a good question. I'm going to break it down mostly because I have the memory of a goldfish, so I'm trying to remember each
I just
part.
kind of threw that all on you, so sorry.
General meetings, they meet Wednesdays 5 to 7 here in Hamilton Hall in room 301, where that's like the audio labs, I think. Yeah. And at the general meetings, you can expect to learn, how to do your stand-up set. How you can literally come in with zero comedy knowledge and show up and be like, hey, listen, I don't know anything, but I want to learn and I want to be funny. And by the time you're walking out at the end of the semester, or even beforehand, like you'll have a set that you can show off and, make any event you're at more entertaining. And luckily also at the meetings, because of the uniqueness of our school, where you're able to use speakers and microphones from the technical service window to enhance that experience at the club meetings. So a new member would be able to go to a general meeting and have a greater experience than you could find at like real comedy clubs across the nation.
Right. Well, that's awesome. And hopefully new members join from hearing about this, and for Pioneer players too, which I'm going to get to now. How often do you guys meet? What do you do at the meetings? And what can a new member expect?
So we meet every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. In the Atrium Auditorium on main campus. Every meeting is typically set up as warm-up, improv games, an intermixing of acting exercises, and just generally getting to know other people in the club. We put out at the beginning of the semester an interest form for workshops. So let's say we have for a certain semester a lot of students that are interested in stage crew. We'll have a specialty meeting for those students so that they feel like they can get that aspect within our club. But for the most part, we do those improv and acting games, honing your skills either as an actor or just learning to do improv, because improv comes up so much in everyday life, just in having a conversation, being able to talk one-on-one with people, talking with you right now. It's
right.
Almost like an improv exercise.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great, and those are very valuable skills that you can use in the communications department in your career. So, like I said, I really hope that new members will join either for the rest of this semester or for the next semester. But let's stay tuned in to this episode of WPTV Presents. We'll be back with Barba and Gavin McKeon, where we'll get even more into all that the Pioneer Players and the Comedy Club has to offer. Stay tuned.
You are watching WPTV, award-winning college television.
Welcome back to this edition of WPTV Presents, where we're interviewing Barba, and Gavin McKeon from the Pioneer Players and Comedy Club. Thank you guys for joining us again.
Hi.
Appreciate it. So I want to ask both of you, and either of you can answer this first. What do you do to promote the clubs? So either of you can answer.
Gavin, you want to go?
Sure. I'll answer this first.
Sure.
To promote Comedy Club, there's a multitude of ways. That being through Instagram, through collaborations with other clubs, through just posters that you can see around campus, and through word of mouth, just telling people about the club. And I mean, really the best way to, promote the club is just do those, get the word out, make sure more and more people know, because that's the most, unfortunately, you can't just grab a bunch of people and force them to come to the club. So the most you can do is tell them about the club, tell them why the club is so good. It's a great club, like you should definitely join. And, tell them the experience and just like the fun they can have at the club through various ways all across different media.
Nice. And then if you want to go out.
Of course. So the club fair is a really big event for the club. Just getting to meet all the new and incoming students, going to events where new students are, advertising when we have auditions for shows, going to club council meetings and talking to other club members, not other club members, but rather other club representatives, sending emails out to people if they would like to collaborate with things. Very much what Gavin said for Comedy Club. I'm also really fortunate to have a really amazing PR. Bailey right now is our PR rep. They are amazing. So on social media, there's posts every week letting people know when we have meetings. Secretary sends out emails every week. There's just a lot of engagement with the members that we have, and we try our best to include different aspects of theater in hopes that we reach more people when we are inviting them to the club.
Yeah, definitely. That's all very important stuff. And I'm aware of the premiere event of the fall being the Murder Mystery, which is that solely a Pioneer Players thing, or is that with Comedy Club as well?
In the past, Comedy Club has helped co-sponsor the event.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's also like a ton of overlap with people and players
Right.
are also in Comedy Club. So like
It's led to a misconception that we're
Yeah.
the same, but we are very much different.
they're two separate clubs.
Gotcha.
But we do help each other out. We're almost sister clubs
Yeah.
because we're both about performance. We're just two
Right.
different types of performance.
We also share an office.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
If you ever want to meet with either of us, we're in the same office here in Hamilton Hall.
Right.
But that being said, yeah.
So can you tell us about the production, either of you, or if you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so as said in the previous little bit, the whole thing is student run. So students are directing, assistant directing, stage managing, working crew, writing the show, producing, putting on the show. All of it's done with students. And yes, there is help from the department, from faculty members, etc. But for the most part, we're all our own contained unit, learning the ins and outs of putting on a show every single semester with some guidance of students who have done the event before. We usually set up the murder mystery to take place very quickly. It's about a month and a half that you have to put on and produce this entire show. Usually it's a 2-act, so it's around 2 hours with about a 15-minute intermission. So our students are essentially learning the ins and outs of a full production, and producing all of that within a month and a half, making schedules, making sure people are on time, learning their lines, doing everything they need to do to have that happen right before Halloween.
Wow, that's very intense, but I'm sure it's very fun in the process and everything, right?
It's amazing. It's stressful,
Yeah.
definitely, but it's something, it gives you experience
Right.
if you want to be involved in any aspect of, putting on a performance.
Right. And the communications department here, and specifically theater and comedy and all that, it relies on experience.
Yes.
And, experience is key for like a lot of careers and stuff. So definitely. And I'm aware that there's a comedy club event coming up.
Yes.
Gavin, can you tell us about that?
So from what I understand, and I think I understand a good deal about it, a comedy club festival is coming up in the near future, sometime later this semester, that'll allow students to come and see what the general members have been working on and see their completed sets that they've put, from what I've seen, a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of respect into. And it'll allow them to really show off what they got and show off how funny some students are. And it's definitely going to be exciting to see. Correct me if I'm wrong, the auditions for that are this upcoming Wednesday?
They are
This
Oh, wow.
upcoming Wednesday. So those general members will be able to show off what they got and what they've built. And I'm really excited because I can tell you firsthand that the stuff I've seen is gold. It's really funny. It's very hard to stay in a bad mood in comedy club.
Well, that's a good thing. You don't want to be in a bad mood in a comedy club, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm also aware that this spring, Pioneer Players are bringing back the Student and the Arts Showcase.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about that?
So before COVID, every single year the players would produce Students in the Art, or SETA. It's a chance for students that are not only interested in acting, but have interest in comedy writing and sketch, that are interested in producing a video sketch or performance, singing, etc. They have a hub of a place that they can show off works that they've done. It's really just a chance to get to know other creatives. And I'm really, really excited to bring it back.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Sounds like a great revival that everybody should kind of have like a little bit of experience with. So I really like that idea. And so I think I know why I would join either club, but can you tell our viewers why they should join Pioneer Players?
Experience, definitely experience. It gives you a chance and opportunity to take part in so many different areas of not only theater, but just producing things in general. I think also having an eclectic set of knowledge, not only on the production side of things, if you're looking to do production in terms of filming, videography, etc., but being aware of what the actors do lets you get a better knowledge of not only how their workflow is, but how you can use your workflow to enhance whatever project you're doing. I think it's really important to just have a general overall knowledge of what everyone does on a set.
Definitely.
And the vibes. I think the vibes is probably the best way to put it.
Okay.
Everybody's really sweet and welcoming. I think that Pioneer Players has become a community of people that just rely on each other. We've all become like a big friend group. There are smaller groups too, but people have best friends there, and they get to hang out after players, and it's just somewhere you can go and be yourself and be goofy for like an hour, 2 hours and a half.
Yeah. Awesome. And why should people join Comedy Club?
Very similar reasons to Pioneer Players. You gain skills that you just wouldn't get anywhere else, and you get a unique perspective. And you can learn how to be funny, which sounds like something that, oh, you don't need to learn how to be funny. People are just funny. I've met unfunny people. I can attest. It's a skill. You can learn it. And Comedy Club is a safe place to learn it, and somewhere you're not going to get, booed. There's no tomatoes. There's no hook to pull you off. So it gives you that chance to learn in a safe environment and acquire skills that you really wouldn't get anywhere else. That these skills that seem basic could get you a job interview just from making the interviewee or interviewer laugh. And also, it's a fun place. Everyone there is, just trying to make each other laugh and show off what they got. So you're probably going to be hanging out with a friend and making jokes that are well crafted, and working with others and making new friends from it, and also thinking of sketch ideas to do later on that you might want to do for a personal project or something. It's a place to write and learn about the art of comedy itself, not just standing up and doing a stand-up set, but comedy as a whole.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like both clubs have a very safe and creative experimental space. So it sounds great. So you guys need to join these clubs. So unfortunately, that is all for today's episode of WPTV Presents. Thank you to Barba and Gavin McKeon for being here. And as always, a special thanks to Clarke and all of our WPTV members here in Hamilton Hall. Be sure to follow us on all our social medias at WPTV Network. Once again, I'm Brooke Holzhauer. We'll see you next time.